Alrighty, so when you log into Triton Connect, obviously there's a few onboarding steps when you first log in, but I'm assuming everyone that's here, well, actually, I know everyone that's here has logged in once because you at least logged in to get the Zoom link. So I'm excited we did that at least. So that's exciting. This is what the homepage looks like. And so kind of just a quick little overview of the navigation of this homepage. We have this upcoming events slider here, so you can scroll through the first 8 events that are upcoming. Sometimes it lets you do a little bit more. Sometimes you have to click view all to go farther. Down here, we have a link to what's open. That's just a link to the Sodexo website that has what's open. This is also linked in the UMSL app. But if you're working with students or other student organization members in your group that are really relying on Triton Connect to get everything they need on campus, this button right here will open Sodexo's website that shows what's open on campus right now. Similarly, with the shuttle tracker, this is the same link that's in the UMSL app. So if you have a student that's trying to figure out the shuttle, they can always click this link here. I also always tell students, like, find someone that's an RA on campus and they hopefully can help you with the shuttle, because I do not take the shuttle and I don't know anything about it. But and then this reserve space button is a link to our event services and Millennium Student Center reservation system. And so if you're familiar with that, you can go in here and click reserve a space if you're ever interested in reserving space and go through that way. Otherwise, whatever way you've been using to communicate with event services and Millennium Student Center staff is all right with everyone. We just wanted to make sure that particularly for student organization leaders, that link was somewhere easily accessible if they're not a type of student, or you're not a type of student that you automatically just bookmark things on your computer. Because I definitely know at one time I was not that student. And now you'll see up here this OSI stuff folder. There's about 50 links in there that are the bread and butter to my everyday job. So that's there. And we also have a little link to the Canvas login page. Again, just kind of like that accessibility for students. We just wanted that to be there and easily accessible for them. These 2 tiles at the bottom will probably always stay here. This one on the right is if you are a part of a department or volunteer with a department on campus, or an alumni of a department on campus, or you're a student in that department, and you think that it's really would be helpful for them to get on Triton Connect and have a portal. This box right here, you just go ahead and click it. It will open a Google form that's about 5 questions. And the 5 questions are just all the information we need to create for Chris and I to create your portal on Triton Connect. And we always, once that portal is created, when we assign you or whoever you put as people that need to be an officer in that portal, we always check mark the box that says send notification to officers that they've been assigned. And then we also send a little follow-up email that says, hi, welcome to the system. Here's a little video that might help, and things like that. So if you haven't heard back from our office regarding your portal and you have filled this out, you can always feel free to send me an email, and we can check in on that to make sure that it's getting done. But I think we got it cleared. The form cleared out last week, so we should be good to go. Or at the beginning of this week, I mean, sorry. So really basic information. If you want to look at the events, but you don't want to use this event slider here, you can always click the events tab at the top. It will take you to the entire calendar of an events in a list view. There's this button on the top right. You can actually put it in a calendar view if that works better for how your brain processes information. Excuse me. And you can see upcoming events in chronological order. You'll see these little gray buttons underneath. The first one is what type of event it is. So up here, you'll see event type. And then all the ones after that are the event tags. So you can see this drop down here. So the best way I would say to navigate this, for instance, would be if you're looking for a specific group in the events they're putting on, you can click group right here and you can choose the group. So let's say I wanted to look for a College of Nursing event. I could check mark this box and then it would populate only the events that College of Nursing has put in here. You can similarly do the same thing with a group type. So say you want to go to other office and department events on campus, you can go ahead and click that. These other 3 group types are different designations of our recognized student organizations on campus. So if you're looking for specifically student org events, I would go ahead and click all 3. I would click all of them except the office and department one, because there's kind of a variety of student orgs in those 3 categories. And then event type, this is also helpful. You can filter by event type. There's all these different options, which you'll also see when we create an event in the near future in this meeting. So you can pick any of those. If you have an idea for something that you think would fit better in here, or like there's something in here that you don't think is worded well, always feel free to email me. I'm willing to work. I'm with it. I'm willing to change something. I'm willing to update it, put new ones, things like that. So just let me know. You can also filter by event tags. So we have all of our history and heritage months as tags. For students, commuter cash is a popular tag that we want to filter by. Most popular on campus, I would say, is probably this free food filter. Always feel free to use that one. We have leadership, we have student organizations, we have service, all those different tags are just opportunities for everyone looking at the events to kind of get a better idea of what's happening that they're interested in. So that's kind of the overview of the events page. If you're interested in an event, which I'm assuming everyone on this call probably kind of got this figured out at least to get the Zoom link, you would click into the events, maybe. There we go. And then it should have a little register button. And then, so since this event is already happening, it says view. You can scroll down and see different details about the event. I did not know this picture was so big down here. I apologize for that, everyone. And then there's this option you can contact the organizers. So you'll see when we're creating an event, you can choose what this button does. It can either create a group chat with whoever the organizers of the event are, or it can send an email. And you can dictate what that does when you are in the events page. All right, moving on to groups. So if you're a part of a group, it should at the top say my groups, and it will pop up what groups you're a part of. You'll see at the top, I'm impersonating our amazing student, Louis Triton, and he's a part of a group called Louis Hangout. If we just wanted to look at what groups are accessible to students or faculty and staff on campus, you would go ahead and click this all groups button. If there's a specific word or organization you're looking for, you can obviously always search it here. But this all groups button will take you to the extensive list of the groups that exist on campus. Again, there's this option for group category if the student, or yeah, if the group has decided to pick a category. There's this, you can filter by all groups or my groups. So for instance, if I went here and I clicked my groups, I would have about 10 right here since I'm an advisor in all the fraternity and sorority groups. But so for instance, Carla, she might have 4 or 5 groups that she's a part of since she's connected to so many student groups, plus the College of Business account. When she clicks my groups, it probably has 4 or 5 here for her to look at. And you can organize them by name, type of organization, the category of organization, or the most recent. You can click into specifically. So maybe you want to see what offices and departments have portals on campus. So maybe one of your friends works over in a different department and you're like, maybe they need to get on Triton Connect. Let me see if they have a portal. You can just click office and department right here, and then it will just show you the departments. So you can go through that list and find it that way. So once you've looked at the groups, you're a part of a group, whatever, in order to access or edit anything in the groups you're a part of, you're always going to want to go to this My Groups and click into the group. It should always open into the dashboard view. So once my computer loads, hopefully it will hurry up. While it's loading, was there any questions on looking at events or looking at groups on Triton Connect or the homepage? All right, perfect. So it opens to the dashboard and there's all these different options of things you can do, things you can edit. I would say first things first, I would always look at the officers page. The officers that are assigned in your portal are going to be the only people that have access to edit anything. And so to assign an officer, you would click on the officers tile, you would click add officer, and then it pops up a search bar where that automatically populates names when you start searching them. It's like one little box that you type in. It's not loading, but I can show you if you have questions. Once you assign an officer, they'll pop up like this. You can choose a position that they're in. These already predetermined positions are for our student organization. So they're required to have a president, a treasurer, and a faculty staff advisor. And then if they just want to have like a general officer assignment, they can do that. Or, which is helpful for a lot of the faculty and staff that we have in the departments we have, you can create a custom position. So to do that, you would click this custom position, you would click select, create new custom position. You type the title here, click save, and then it would pop up right here where there says select. It would pop up more options. So for a lot of the departments and offices that we have in Triton Connect, when we assign officers, we will also go in and make custom positions, and just whatever your titles are listed on your department's website is what we will assign as the custom position. You all always have access to change that if you're an officer in your portal. Another really cool thing you can do with officers is this permissions button in the top right, the second from the right hand side. That allows you to determine what the officers in your portal have access to. So for some of you that have like a college portal for the entire college, there may be a lot of subsections of things going on in your portal that they need access to your portal, but maybe they're only creating events, or maybe they're only managing who's a part of the portal. You can determine who has access by just unchecking these boxes or rechecking the box if you do need them to do that. So for instance, if you have a student that works at the front desk of your office or department and you want them to be tasked with uploading all of the members, but you don't want them to mess with events, you don't want them to do anything else, you would go ahead and uncheck everything except for manage members. Maybe you have a survey or a form that you want to make in your portal, and you need just the front desk as a person that needs to handle that. You can uncheck everything except for this manage surveys and forms. And then, sorry, everyone turned their cameras off, so it just disappeared. I was like, what happened? Did the Zoom call end? But we're all here, I'm assuming. So Carla's like, hey girl, that's okay. If you want to have your camera off, that's totally fine. I was just like, did the Zoom call end? But yeah, so this is
easier to see what you're doing with the camera off.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, so yes, these are all the different things that officers in your portal have access to change or update. And make sure if you're the person doing it, you don't accidentally uncheck edit group settings, because then it will kick you out and you won't be able to edit anything. So make sure that you don't uncheck that one if you're the main person in charge of your portal. And then another thing, if you're managing who has access to anything, you're going to want to uncheck manage officers settings for anyone who you don't want to be able to change what's on this screen. Because if you go and uncheck this, whoever you did that for will not be able to see. They can click on right here where I click permissions on the last screen, they can click on permissions and view it, but they can't edit it, if that makes sense. So you can't be sneaky and be like, well, I gave you access, but I don't know why it's not working, because they'll be able to see this screen. They just won't be able to change anything on this screen, just as a little heads up. So that's kind of the overview of officers. Was there any questions about officers? All right. If we go back to that dashboard, probably the most highly used thing on here besides needing to know who's in your portal and who has access to change things. Carla, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. Perfect. It's taking a minute. I would say the next thing would be members. And so when you click into the members tile, you'll see it looks a lot like the officer page, and you can see anyone that's listed as a member in your organization's portal or your officer department's portal. Members next to it has this drop down. So let's say you have like a long Excel list of every member of your organization or every student in your department or every person that interacts with your office. You can click this upload members tab underneath members. It actually gives you the Excel file you need to upload members, and it walks you through step-by-step instructions of how to do that. So again, for our faculty and staff on the call, if you have a front desk that can do this for you, this is something really easy that they can make the Excel sheet for, like transfer the data from your Excel sheet into this Excel sheet that they'll download here, and they can upload it. It's kind of small right here, but it shows a little example, and it has a column for first name, last name, email, member, or officer. There's a whole bunch of other columns, but only the ones highlighted orange are important, which is the email and then member or officer. And how they'll enter that, as long as they have the email in the email column, and then if the person just needs to be a member, they'll put a 1 in the member column. And if they're an officer, they can add a 1 in the officer column and will automatically upload them as an officer and a member. Or if they're not an officer, you would just put a 0 in the officer column and it would upload them. A little trick that it doesn't say on the instructions, the emails in the email column will need to be formatted with the student's SSO at umsystem.edu. Triton Connect and all the other, our sister campuses, when we signed this contract, we decided that it would be easier the way that users are assigned in each of our systems if we all had the same process for that. And so the easiest way for that was for us to use sso@umsystem.edu because that's the most authenticated version of every student's email in the UM system. And so that is one thing that will be tricky if you just have @mail.umsl.edu @umsl.edu in the email column. When you upload it, it will say there's an error for like every single person probably. Unless someone has gone into their profile and updated that they have a secondary email, then it should notice like, okay, that's that person and assign them as a member. But other than that, it would probably mess up. So just make sure whoever's doing this for your portal, if you decide to do this way, you want to make sure that email says @UM system. But on the members page, similar to the officers page, there's a blue button on the top right that says add member. You'll notice on Triton Connect, almost every page that you can edit or do something on, it will say add whatever the page is on the top right in a button that's color coded to the same color that's already on the page. So I'm hoping this box will pop up if I'm a little bit patient, more than I was in the past. Yes, so it pops up this little box. As you start typing, it should start to auto-populate people. And you can start typing last names, first names, whatever you want, and it will pop up the student as soon as, or the faculty and staff as soon as it recognizes who you're trying to type in. So there we see Carlin right there. We're good to go. And then you can add everyone by that, and you can type in more than one person. So I'll show you guys that. If I can type today, there we go. So if I wanted to add Chris and Carla, like I was acting like I was going to do, you can type as many names as you want in here. Obviously, sometimes Triton Connect takes a minute to load, so I would be weary about like sitting here and doing like 50 people at a time, that it would kind of freeze out on you and then it wouldn't work very well. You can also paste a list. And so to do that, you could copy and paste emails. Again, that would need to be their @UM system email. So that's the only reason this kind of isn't the best option. Because here you just need to know first and last name. And then this is similar to the officer page. You can choose to notify the new people that you're adding, or you can leave that blank and click add, and it will go ahead and pop them up on the member list. And so if you have access to like manage members, you can like do some things with all the members in your portal, but none of that is too important, I would say, for the average user. The cool thing about your members is if you want to send an email to all of your members, you can filter this list by account type. So if you just want to send an email to the students in your portal, if you want to just send an email to someone that's in your portal that has been identified as a student group president or treasurer, I don't know why any of you would do that, but so let's say you just want to send an email to students in your portal or just to faculty and staff in your portal, you can go ahead and select whoever you want to send it to, and then there's nothing in here, so let me go back to student. You can select all, or you can select certain amounts of people. If there was more, like say there's 50 people and the page only shows 20, it will say right here 20 items on this page are selected, and then underneath it there'll be a little link and it says select all 50 in this portal, or all 50 whatever, and then you'll click that and it will automatically select all of the people, and then you can click this send email button. The email builder in here is really cool. If you guys have not used it, this email composer will work a lot like Outlook. When you click email composer, it will automatically have all of the students or faculty and staff that you just selected. And then you'll type in your email. You can just attach an attachment. This email builder is a little bit cooler because you can kind of see what you're building. You can make it a little bit more intensive, I would say. You can CC whoever you want on an email when you're emailing this out. You can BCC someone. So for instance, whenever I send out an email from the OSI portal, I normally will BCC my supervisor just so she knows what's gone out, because I'm normally not emailing all of the officers in my portal or things like that. I'm emailing mostly student leaders. So she wouldn't receive that since she's not listed as a student organization president or treasurer. You add in the subject. You can choose what from address this is. So I haven't set up a lot in this Louis Hangout portal, but for instance, an Office of Student Involvement portal, if I was to click this, there's an option we have our Office of Student Involvement or Student Involvement at umsl.edu email listed in our portal. So I would be able to send it from student involvement at umsl.edu. You can also choose an introduction. So if I choose hi first name, when this email sends to Louis from Louis, it will say, hi, Louis. And then it will say whatever I type in the email in the next few steps. So you are able to pick kind of a little layout that you want. So all the layouts include pictures. Once you're in the actual layout itself, you can go ahead and delete things or add things. So I picked this template. As I hover over everything, it shows edit, delete, anchor, duplicate. So when I click edit on an image, it allows me to upload it, make it a URL or a linked photo, and then also entering the alternative text. If you're not aware, alternative text is really helpful for our students who use screen readers. The alternative text in the image allows their screen reader to read what's in the image. So for instance, that Triton Connect help session email I sent to all faculty and staff in the portal that are officers in a portal yesterday about this session. In the image alt box, I typed Triton Connect help sessions, and then made sure in the body, all the information that I didn't type in the alternative text box was in this text box down here. So the students that are using screen readers are still getting the information that's important without having to be able to see the image. When you're editing text, there's a bunch of different options, a whole lot of different things you can do to format the text. You can link certain text. If I remember where the button is. Well, you can link text. I just can't. Oh, it's right here, right. But as you hover over all these options, similarly to anything else you're looking at on a computer, it tells you what the button does. So that's very helpful. You would edit whatever you want to edit in here. If you wanted to delete this side thing, you could delete that. And then the email would just be these two items. Then you go ahead and click next. It allows you to add click boxes. So if you had an upcoming event that you wanted to make sure students saw, you would just check off this box and it would allow, or it would put a little snippet about the upcoming event on there. And then you can add a box where someone can say like, thanks for this email, which gives you the feedback that they said that. Personally, I get a lot of emails, so I would never add that to the bottom of an email, but it's nice if you want some warm regards for the emails you sent out. This is a really nice feature that we did not have in our past system. You can schedule an email delivery date. So say when we're getting to the end of the fall semester, you want to make sure your everyone in your portal gets an email first thing on the 5th of January, whatever that first Monday is in January. But you're going to be out of the office because you took extra time off of our natural break that we get as faculty and staff. You can go ahead and schedule this to send on whatever day that you're going to be out of the office that you need an email to be sent on. And then you can choose your options for your email footer. You'll probably have more options than this one does, just because this portal is not set up as great. You can send yourself a test email, or you could just preview the email. This is probably going to just be blank, I would assume. But it will show you what the email will look like. And then there'll be a little close button. You just click the close button, it will take you back to this. You can save it as a draft, or you can save and send it. And then once you send the email, it will provide you with a link to view basically the click rate of your email. So you can actually see how many people opened it. If you have links in there, it tells you how many people clicked on the links that you included in there. So it's all very helpful in regards to sending emails, because like, as I'm sure a lot of you know, we send an Outlook email and we're like, we have no idea who read that. We have no idea who got it. But it actually tells you in the portal. And if you missed that link, you'd be able to click email tracking and it would show you that information here. It would have each email listed. And you can view the email after it's sent in this screen or in the send screen. And then you can also see who clicked in it and who clicked the links, those types of things. All right, events. And then I'll open it up for questions once I explain events. So if you wanted to create an event, you're going to click this create event here. Any events that are already have been created in your portal will always show up on this if they're upcoming. Otherwise, if they've happened in the past, you have to click on past events or in the drafts. You can click create event. It's going to take a minute to load probably. Any questions so far with what I've explained? Okay. All right, so when you click create an event, it pops up with this template. A lot of people probably miss this, but on the side, you can actually see kind of where you're going in the event. So it's going to ask you it's going to ask you who the team that's creating the event is, when the event is, where the event is. You can add a photo. There's more options. There's access and display options. There's registration options, and there's advanced. So say we get down to more, and then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to add my team members. You can just click here, and it should take you, when it's loading correctly, it should take you back to team, but obviously you can also just scroll up. But I think if you're working through this and you're like, wait, what about this detail? It's probably down here somewhere and you'll get to it when you're scrolling, but it's hard to know that when it looks like it's just like a big form you have to fill out. So we're going to put our event name. You'll provide a little description. Then this is where you select your event type. So is it an academic event, or an event that's like a resource? This one was created for Triton Pantry. So all of Triton Pantry's dates they have on the calendar, they select this resource option just so that students can filter by a resource on campus and find it. If you guys are going to have like a drop-in session or something like that, that could be a good resource for students. That resource button would be an oh my goodness, an amazing event type to select just so students can easily find what resources exist for them on campus. If it's a student organization event, or it's an event to like attract student organizations, you can choose that. Athletic or sporting event, a career workshop, ceremony, community service, cultural dinner and gala, educational or awareness program, fundraiser, leadership, lecture, meeting, orientation, social, spiritual, tour, training, workshop. Why these are not all in alphabetical order, I couldn't tell you, but it is a little confusing. So an event type is required, but it's the event tags is what I would say our students particularly filter events by. So I would always try and add an event tag that applies to your event. So like I said, if you got the budget for free food at your event, students will be there. So if we're having a free food event, it's also a drop-in event, so people don't have to stay the whole time. They can just come and go as they please. And we're going to provide some entertainment there. You can go ahead and select all those group tags. Maybe I said, oops, I didn't mean to click entertainment. I meant to click free event underneath it. You just click the little X next to it, takes it away. So event coordinator, normally this is going to be you, but let's say you do have an assistant or you do have a front desk staff that's making an event for you, but you need to be the person people are contacting, asking questions about. They can go ahead and click this drop down, and any person that's listed in the organization portal, or the portal in general, sorry, their name will pop up here and you can select them as the event coordinator. Or if you want a certain person to be the coordinator, but then you want other people to maybe be able to answer questions as well, or check people into the event, you would add team members here, and that's going to pop up another box where you just search and select the people you would like to put in there. And then you can select only the event coordinator and officers of the host group added as team members can manage this event. This would mean maybe you have 7 people in your portal that can create events. You gave them access to create events as their officer permissions, but really only 2 people that have access to edit events are the people that need to be able to edit this event. You would be able to add that second person as a team member and then check this box, and that would mean that anyone else in the portal would not be able to edit that. So earlier there was that contact organizers button. This is how you decide what happens when they click the contact organizers button. They can either start a group chat with the team. So this would be whoever you list under team members and the event coordinator, or just send an email to the event coordinator. So right now, if I click send an email to the event coordinator, only Louie is going to get this email when someone's asking questions about the event. Then you're going to put when the event is, when it starts, when it ends, and then if there's a different time zone, you can change that. If there's a recurring event, this is really nice. It literally loads every upcoming day for as long as you can think of, and it lets you just select whatever days you would like. So you'll see September, we've already passed all these dates, but I could pick the 30th, the 24th of October, the 16th of October. I can pick however many random days I want if the event's actually happening on those days, and it will show up as a recurring event on all of those dates. Right. And then if you don't want to scroll super far, you can just click that recurring events thing back up and it will go away. You can select if the event's on campus, off campus, or an online only event. So for instance, this help session, we just selected online only. It went ahead and took away all those other details and just popped up down here, the meeting link option. And whenever you choose where the event is, you can also select who can see the event location. So since this was a Zoom call, on this, when I did the online only version, I said only display the location of logged on users. And then down here, when I put in the meeting link, who can see the meeting link? Only people who are registered or only people that are logged on. So if you have a really big event that's going to be on Zoom, I would make people register before it allows them to see the link, because that will help prevent Zoom bombers. If your event's on campus, you can always put the location name in here. If you want to get very specific, some of our buildings are a little bit hard to find on campus. You can put that address in here, and then when they're looking at it, they can just click and it will open their map app and take them there. And you can even display a map on a registration page if that's helpful to the audience your event is for. And then this meeting link video thing is always here. So if you have like a hybrid event, you could say it's on campus event and then also provide a meeting link here, and then decide who sees it. And it will automatically, if I copy and paste a Zoom link in here, this will change to Zoom automatically, but you can also select it down here if you would like. You can add photos for your event. So this photo is what shows up in the event calendar when we were looking at it in the list view, as well as what shows up in the event slider on the homepage. This flyer on the right-hand side is what shows up in the bottom of the event near the description, as well as if someone was looking at the events calendar from the calendar view, when they hover over your event, it will pop up this flyer, because the calendar view doesn't show pictures for events. So when you hover, it shows the flyer. So our office has just made it a point to upload the photo for both things, so that if someone does prefer the calendar view, they can still kind of see that quick snapshot of what the event is in the picture that we provide. You can attach files to your event if necessary. If you're providing food and you want to make sure people know, you can check food provided, and then you can put what food you're having if you want to get that particular. Down here under access and display options, you can choose who can see your event. You can get very specific if you want. So you can do some University of Missouri St. Louis users only, click to select users. You could do only students can see this or can register to your event, only staff and faculty can register to your event. This graduation date always pops up, but we don't have people organized by graduation date in here, so this will not help you unless students, like the select few students who have added their graduation date in their profile. You can do University of Missouri St. Louis campus groups users only. So that would just be anyone logged into the UMSL system. You can do tagged users. That won't be super helpful for you all, because again, it just shows student group president and treasurer. And then some group members only. So you could do group members only. So maybe this is just an event for people in your portal. That would be what you would select, group members only. If you want to just do some group members, you can go in here and get very specific, and this will drop down and show you every single person. And you can check like that, or you can say like everyone that's an officer needs to get this event, or everyone that's a student needs to get this event. And then again, it shows the individual people. Again, you can do officers only this way as well. You can select prevent users who are already registered to another event at the same time from registering to this event. I would advise against it unless it's something that like someone has to be at for the whole time. They have to check in before the event starts and leave when it ends. Because there's a lot of random drop-in events that happen on campus that you wouldn't want them if they registered to UPB's tabling in the bridge. You wouldn't want them to not be able to register to your event because maybe they just are registering to UPB's event to stop by their table on the bridge on the way to your event. So I would advise against that, but if it is something that they genuinely have to be at the whole entire session, then you can obviously click prevent users who are already registered to an event at the same time for registering to this event. This is where you allow people to see the event, so you can make it available to everyone. This means if someone's not logged into Triton Connect, that sign-in screen that has Kurt Coonrod and a bunch of students on it that says sign in, at the top, these tabs still exist. So someone could click events and see your event if you have everyone selected. Logged on users only, obviously only people that are logged in. Group members only people in your group or your portal. And then if you already were very selective about who's allowed to register, you can right here go ahead and just put just the people who are allowed to register. If for some reason this is an event you don't want to be open to the public, so sometimes the Triton Pantry, they'll have events that they just want to use Triton Connect to track attendance, but they don't want it to be available on the calendar for people to see. They'll click this no one button, so it just hides it from the calendar, but then in their portal, they can see the events they've created. If you want people to answer more questions than the registration asks, which is just name, which is just like their name and email and a few other small details, you would click this edit button here and it will pop up a box and you can add questions there. If you need the registration to close from a certain time, at a certain day and time, you can select an open and close date here. If you can only have so many people register to the event, you can put an attendance limit, and when this many people register to the event, it will then take away the register button. You can allow people to RSVP not attending to your event, if that's important for you all to know. You can have Triton Connect automatically send a reminder out a certain amount of time before your event. The minimum is 1 day, the maximum is a week. And it automatically populates this. We look forward to seeing you then. You can change that to be whatever you want it to be, and it allows you to preview the email that will be sent. You can personalize the email confirmation when they register. You can say, don't send an RSVP when someone registers. This one's important. You can display the list of who's attending. So if you don't want people to be able to see who's registered for your event for some reason or another, maybe it's a talk or a panel about something that's maybe like a little bit sensitive information that maybe we don't want someone to be looking through the event calendar and be like, oh, Michaela registered to that panel about this. There must be something wrong. You can select nobody, then no one will know who's going. And then you can also hide the number of people who are registered. This ticket cover we don't need to use. And then this feedback request checkbox is always checked. So if you don't want it to email someone and say like, how was the event? I would just go ahead and uncheck that. Then we get down to the advanced options, attendance tracking. If you are going to be using Triton Connect to track attendance at your event, I would always, underneath the check-in method for kiosk, I would always select allow both methods. This allows students to scan into the event themselves, or this allows you on the back end of Triton Connect to type in people's names and check them in. We can go over that in a minute if you all are interested in that option, but I do want to make sure there's time for questions. You can add more questions to the RSVP here as well as up there. You can also unselect which things it's asking students to put in there as well as they're filling that out. You can add speakers if you have a speaker. You can add a sponsor name if you have that. The redirect URL after registration is cool. Maybe anyone that registers need to pick the meal that they're going to eat at your thing, and you have some other link that will help them select their meal. You can go ahead and do that here, or you can add a question and say, have a drop-down question that says, what meal do you want? If you're getting that specific with Sodexo or whoever you're using. And then if there's a co-host, you can add them under co-host. A lot of this stuff is very self-explanatory. Feel free to like look around and explore in your portal, because you can always save an event as a draft. So there's a save as draft option here, and there's also create event here, or then create event would be like save and publish the event. This event template option is nice because you can say you have a recurring event. So for instance, I host a Wise Up Wednesday session for student organization leaders every other Wednesday. I don't want to go through all these settings on my event every time I'm creating a Wise Up Wednesday event, right? So I just select for this group. When I made the first one, then it saved it as a template. Then I go back in and I use the template to make a new event. And then when I did that, it allowed me to just, most of the settings were the same. I just was able to change like the description and the name of the event, which was really cool. Once this event saves, I'll show you that event template option 1 second. And then begin your questions ready. So then I can get to questions for the last almost 20 minutes. So now that I saved that as a template, all these recurring events, I forgot I did that. I can create an event and it will say, well, since there was 6 of the event, it shows all 6 of them as a template. But normally you wouldn't want to do the recurring dates when you're creating a template. You would just pick this one, and then it allows it to be, when you open it, it will create it as all the same settings that you had chosen for the other one. Or you can always do the blank event template if you don't have any saved in your portal. All right, what questions do we got? They can be totally unrelated to what I was talking about. It's just could literally be a problem you've come up with.
May I go first, Michaela?
Yeah.
So Michaela, the mobile app, I've downloaded it.
Yeah.
I've logged on, but I get a message that says that we cannot find your profile in campus groups.
Okay.
Is that something students will run into? And yes, how to bypass that? And
yeah, so there might just be, have you logged in on the website?
Yes.
And you're able to log in on the website?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there's some weird thing with our app that we've been working on to figure out, because it also redirects some people to S&T's app for some reason.
Yes, it does.
Okay, yep. Yeah, so I will add you to my list of accounts that I need to make sure are fixed when we figure out what's going on with the app with that. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
So then students should be able to download it, and I noticed there's an option to send them mobile notifications.
Yes. Correct. Yep.
Wonderful. No, this is so nice and comprehensive, Michaela. I like those features like being able to scan in attendees to keep track of who attends,
Yes.
if it's in person. I'm assuming it generates a QR code on their app. And
yes, so there's actually 2 options when you're 2 easy options when you're registering people. So I shouldn't have deleted that event. Let me stop sharing my screen really quick so I can go to the OSI portal and show everyone kind of the event check-in process. So in all the students' apps, or everyone's app really, when you click your profile picture on the top right, I think is where it is, you have like a QR code designated to you. But you also, so if you were scanning people into an event on your app, which I need to make a video of how to do that with the app itself, because it's a little bit hard to describe over Zoom, how to use the mobile app specifically. But so you can scan their QR code that they have as like a person, or when they register to the event on the app, it like populates a QR code for them. And you could scan that as well if you wanted to. Or the easiest way our office has found to check people into events is every event, when you create it, on the right-hand side underneath the settings and the edit button, there's this QR code. When you click on it, it opens up your QR code just on a black screen. So if you wanted, you could just have your like a computer up at the entrance of your event, and they could just scan that QR code. On their mobile app, or on the mobile app, when you click on the More button on the bottom right-hand side, there's an option on that menu that says QR code scanner. So anyone can go and click that QR code scanner, and then it will just open the QR code scanner. It basically opens their camera, they scan the QR code, and then since they're already logged into the app, it automatically says like, Michaela Wells has checked in. If they don't have the mobile app, what's really nice about the QR codes, if they don't have the mobile app downloaded, they can scan the QR code with their basic camera on their phone, and then it will just prompt them to the Triton Connect website in their Safari, Chrome, whatever app on their phone, and they'll log in on the web version. But so when this QR code pulls up, when you click on it from the events page, you can just save it as an image on your computer. And then if any of you have been to our OSI events at the beginning of the year, we've just a lot of times taken this image that we have, for our events, we've put it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and added the QR code at the bottom. So it kind of is like, oh, this is that event I saw on Triton Connect. I saw that picture, or I saw that banner somewhere. Then they just scan the QR code, and like it looks a little bit nicer than a random QR code. But you could also just have this up on a computer, or just print this and on a piece of paper, and they could scan in that way.